And yet, no matter where you are, home is never far away. Yes, today this exciting world, filled with romance, adventure, and nature's masterpieces, is waiting for you to enjoy.
Hi, I'm Wendy Katz, Professor of Art History at Wake Forest University and a Mellon Fellow at Reynolda House. Thomas Eakins is one of the great American realists in the Reynolda House collection, yet his portraits, like this one of Asbury Wright Lee, a Pennsylvania lumber manufacturer, were rejected by their sitters. Nor did Eakins' peers elect him as a member of the National Academy of Design until 1902, despite his 30 years of painting and teaching. The problem was that Eakins believed the artist must paint like the surgeon operates. He must clinically dissect whoever he regards, even if doing so violates conventions. In our time, when doctors and nurses risk their lives to treat illness, it's worth looking at how our concept of medical heroism was created, in part by artists like Eakins. Eakins believed in the importance of anatomy and dissection for artists as much as doctors. He taught anatomy at Jefferson Medical College in his hometown of Philadelphia, just as he taught art at the Philadelphia Academy of Fine Art. And when the World's Fair of 1876 came to Philadelphia, he painted, on his own dime, a portrait of the surgeon Dr. Samuel Gross in the midst of an operation. This painting was rejected by the Arts Board as too gruesome, a reaction Eakins predicts within the painting itself by including a woman next to Dr. Gross who can't bear to look at the operation. The gruesome quality comes not just from the visible wound in the patient's thigh, but the spotlight on Dr. Gross's hand and scalpel coated in blood. The tray of gleaming instruments that bars our entry into the operating theater only reinforces what Eakins admired about surgeons. They commit violence in order to give life. Because of this nature of their job, cutting into bodies, surgeons had always been equated with butchers. That's why Rembrandt, in his portrait of a surgeon, showed him dissecting a corpse rather than a living body. His hands stay clean. When Eakins studied at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, he continued taking anatomy classes, and he knew not only about Rembrandt, but about contemporary pictures of French surgeons like this one, which still shows the doctor dissecting. The touch of red on Dr. Velpeau's coat is his Legion of Honor ribbon. You can be a surgeon, this painting says, and still be an entirely respectable member of society. Eakins, however, saw the surgeon's clinical objectivity, his ability to coolly cut into living bodies, as the hallmark of the modern artist. He accordingly included himself among the experts at the surgery. He is attentively taking notes, and he holds the pen in his hand just as Dr. Gross holds the scalpel. His gaze is just as unflinching as the gaze of the surgeons around the patient. Eakins believed the artist must study from the live nude model. He insisted his male and female students dissect cadavers of both sexes. He expected the artist to be as detached and professional as doctors or nurses. Their gaze at the human body must be aesthetic and scientific, not sexual, if art was ever to move past what he called smiling, smirking goddesses amid wax flowers and purling streams, and become truthful instead. This rejection of traditional idealized nudes and prettified nature, combined with his insistence on his students' direct contact with naked bodies, led to a series of scandals at his art school, and he was forced to resign. In a letter he wrote to his boss, he tried to explain. "If I should be in a railroad accident," he wrote, "and perceive a lady bleeding most dangerously from the lower extremity, then and there I should try to find the artery and compress it, tie it. And if some evil person would run busily about and whisper that I had lifted up a lady's clothes in a public place, such complaints would properly be ignored." Eakins believed that the artist must penetrate into his subject, his sitters, and such penetration requires the artist, like the doctor, to treat bodies as objects. In these portraits of two of his students, this quality of detachment evokes a sense of the women's suffering, a sensitivity or psychological complexity that seems to be caused by their lack of fit in the world they inhabit. They are elegantly costumed, surrounded by artistic furniture and trappings, but not at ease. But when Eakins turned his dissecting gaze on men, particularly successful businessmen like Lee, who were not part of his artistic circle, the effect was colder. Rather than suggesting access to Lee's inner life, Eakins' clinical approach makes Lee appear as stiff as his starched collar, lacking psychological depth. When Lee returned the painting to Eakins, along with the agreed payment of $200, he added a note that he didn't consider it a good likeness, though my daughter liked it in a general way. This undoubtedly irked Eakins, who doggedly pursued the particular woundedness, the specific hurt, or it may be the beauty and strength of each sitter. Perhaps that's why, like the gash on the thigh of Dr. Gross's patient, Eakins highlighted the scar on Lee's hand. Eakins' very successful peer, John Singer Sargent, was famous for his ability to show the confident, polished, even aggressive surfaces of American aristocrats in a way that glamorized them. Their character was perfectly congruent with their world. There was no need for surgery to show what lay underneath. Eakins, however, only became really popular in the 1930s, with critics who rejected Gilded Age materialism and artists like Sargent as empty suits. These critics valued as modern Eakins' fight against social convention, his belief that women should study art and the body in the same way men did. So it was no accident that Eakins found his heroic model for the professional artist who goes below material surfaces in modern doctors and nurses.